Welcome back, Kid Detectives. I hope you enjoyed our last mystery. And now we're moving on to our next case, which is the case of Grandpa's missing teeth. Okay, and before we get started reading, let me talk a little bit about our learning targets, okay? Our I can statement today is I can refer to parts of the mystery stories when writing and speaking about texts. And our main focus is going to be on the elements of mystery. All right, so one more thing to have you do. I want you to grab a notebook paper or some type of paper to have next to you whenever we read our mysteries, because you're going to be jotting down your thoughts, clues, and suspects. So if you could just grab a notebook, have it next to you. I'm actually going to show you how to fill out on the next page. All right, so the thing you're going to be filling out is the elements of mystery. And here's a list to kind of help you out to remember: detective, victim, suspects, witnesses, alibi, red herring, evidence, crime, and clues. Those are the elements that we're going to be discussing today. And to kind of help you out there, I kind of wrote down the little examples here. This is also on our website under files if you need to have a actual document in front of you. I'm going to show you over here. I'm doing mine along with us. It's kind of hard to see right now, but this is the exact same thing. So whatever's here is right there on your screen. Okay, so you're going to put detective, victim, suspect, witness, alibi, red herring, evidence, crime, and clues. And that way we can fill it out as we read. All right, now that we have all that out of the way, let's get started on the book. The first thing we do when we start reading a book, as always, and I know you guys can already say it out loud, is we look at the cover and we look at the title of the book. Okay, so what does the title tell us? Like, what does it reveal about we're going to read about? Let's see, Grandpa's teeth. Obviously, Grandpa's teeth. You know we're already talking about mysteries because that's what we're talking about. Okay, it will not be a fantasy. It will not be a romance. So we know it's going to be a mystery about Grandpa's teeth. Next, we're going to look at the cover, okay? And then I'm going to zoom in a little bit. The cover kind of reveals something eerie, okay? He looks frightened. He looks upset. He's scared. Another thing that they kind of do is they even make the teeth look like they're evil, like they're ready to bite them, you know? They're not happy, okay? So it brings on that mood, that setting. We've talked about mood before. It sets that mood, that feeling that you get. Okay, so right off the bat, we know something mysterious is happening. Okay, I know I said I was going to start reading, but one more thing you need to know. Okay, so Grandpa's teeth are dentures. And some of you might know what dentures are, some of you may not. So let's just talk about that really quick. Dentures are a removable plate or a frame holding one or more artificial teeth. Okay, so false teeth. And what that means is that when you're older and maybe you didn't take very good care of your teeth, or something happened, you may have to wear dentures. Okay, you don't have your real teeth, or maybe you only have a couple of your real teeth, so you need false teeth. What they do is you'll have, like, it's called a denture cream, and it actually sticks that plate up into your mouth so you can eat during the day, and then at night you would take it out and soak it so it would be clean. Obviously, it's come a long way over the few years this story was written, but just so you have that information, he has dentures, okay? And that kind of gives you a good incentive as a kid right now to make sure that you go to the dentist, floss, and brush your teeth, okay? So you don't end up having dentures. All right, so now we're ready to begin the story. Before I start, let me talk about how I'm going to be doing some voices for the characters. It might sound a little goofy, but just enjoy. All right. Help! I've been robbed! We hear Grandpa shouting, "It's a disaster! Come quickly!" He was still shouting as Mom, Agatha, and I ran upstairs. Okay, so let's talk about, why is Grandpa talking like that? Why is he going, disaster? Why is he talking like that? Well, if we look, what is he missing? His teeth, okay? And then that brings us to the next part. What is the crime? Right off the bat, you kind of knew from the cover or the title, okay? What is the crime? Missing teeth, Okay, so we're going to write that down really quick on our little chart here that I asked you to do. I'm going to write down missing teeth. Missing teeth. And then we have another element that we can talk about. Our other element is who is the victim? And that's pretty obvious. Who is our victim right now? Grandpa. So where is the victim? Right here. Grandpa. Okay, we already have two elements, and this is just the first page. Let's move on to the next page and talk about that. Grandpa's room was a mess, but to be honest, it was always a mess. He blamed Gump, his old dog, but Gump looked too old to me to make much of a mess. What was taken? Gasped Mom. Your VCR? Your television? Not your gold-plated golfing trophy?
No, said Grandpa. It's much more serious. It's my teeth. They've been stolen.
Okay, so now what we're going to be doing is we're going to jot time. We're going to look for clues. And we don't have a detective looking around for different clues, but we can find some clues in those few paragraphs, okay? Mom mentioned your VCR, okay? And really quickly, let me go into this. Your VCR is kind of like a DVD player. You know, back in the olden days, my time, we had VCRs with the video cassette tape, so they would put the cassette tape, watch their movies, okay? So VCR. Obviously, the story is written a little bit further back. So Mom mentions your VCR, your television, or your gold-plated golfing trophy, okay? So what this tells us is, as a detective, is the clues here. Did they steal the fancy, expensive stuff? As you can see, you know, VCR and television. Or did they steal teeth? Okay, so our clues right now is that they didn't steal anything valuable. So why would they steal teeth? Okay, so what I would put for you is they didn't steal the VCR, teeth, or trophy. Okay, so that's our clue. They didn't steal those things. And I'm going to write it down as we break so I don't take up the video time. Okay, so you're going to be writing down VCR, TV, and trophy. Okay, so before I start this page, let me quickly remind you the last one you needed to have didn't steal VCR, TV, and trophy. Okay, when we're all done, we're going to be doing a worksheet with this, so it's easier to do it now than have to do it later. Okay, so just write that down. All right, so let me start with the next page. Grandpa normally kept his teeth in a glass of water by the bed. The glass was still there, but the teeth were missing. You haven't swallowed them by mistake, have you? Asked Mom.
Of course not,
replied Grandpa.
Those were special, handmade by the finest Swiss craftsmen.
Agatha looked at Mom and whispered, Why is Grandpa talking funny?
You see how serious it is,
moaned Grandpa.
I may never speak the same again.
Okay, so really quickly, let me jump into something different. Who is telling the story? Okay, we obviously, is it Grandpa? No, because there's somebody talking about Grandpa, so we know it's not Grandpa right there. Is it Mom? No, because they're telling and they're saying Mom asked, or asked Mom. Is it Agatha? No, because Agatha right there said, why is Grandpa talking funny? So who is our character right now that's speaking? Okay, well, it's the boy. They haven't mentioned his name. They haven't even really introduced him, but he's the one telling the story. Okay, so just a little tidbit to tell you, the son is the one telling the story. Are you sure you've looked everywhere? Asked Mom. Under the bed? Behind the cabinet? In all the drawers?
Yes,
replied Grandpa with tears in his eyes.
I've looked everywhere.
Mom called the police. Officer Raitt looked grave. We've done a thorough check of the room and house, and we found nothing at all. No teeth, no clues. Everyone was at home at the time of the theft. So how the thief got in and out without being seen is a mystery. Okay, so a couple things to talk about on this page. One, jot time. Who are the suspects? Well, kind of everybody, okay? Because everybody was there. Nobody saw anything. Grandpa has no description of the person or, thing. So who did it? So right now I'm going to put a big, huge question mark under our suspects because we have no idea. It's a who done it. There are no suspects to write down, okay? And the next thing we're going to go over is who is the detective, okay? And the detective's name is Officer Rate, okay? So we're going to write that down. Officer Rate. And then the next thing we're going to talk about is vocabulary time. All right, so Officer Rate looked grave, okay? And right now we're not talking about the cemetery. We're not talking about like a grave site. What we're talking about is the mood, the feeling he has, okay? And his feeling is concerned, okay, or he's worried. So Officer Rate looked concerned. He looked grave. Can you give us a description on the stolen article, Mr. Pertwhistle? Grandpa frowned, rubbed his chin, then looked closely at the officer.
Could you smile, please?
He asked. Smile?
Yes, a nice big smile.
Officer Rate grinned sheepishly.
No, shouted Grandpa angrily. I mean a real smile.
Officer Rate smiled broadly. Grandpa leaned forward, tapped the officer's teeth with his finger, and growled suspiciously.
They look just like those.
Officer Rate looked shocked. I've had these for years. Okay, so let's talk really quick. A jot time. Our jot time really quick, we're going to talk about the witness, okay? So who is our witness right now? I would say nobody. Like, we don't know who did it. There's no witness to help us out. The only thing that's a witness is Grandpa, and he's not really a witness. He's kind of just the victim, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to go over to your witness part and draw your question mark, okay? So far you have no clue who the suspect is and no clue who a witness is. All right, let's move on to the other part, which is vocab time. Okay, so our vocabulary that we're going to discuss right here is the stolen article, okay? When he says, can you give us a description of the stolen articles? Well, we don't really say articles that much. What they mean to say is stolen objects, okay? So just to help you out there with that vocab. And then the other one, sheepishly. When, right here, Officer Rate grinned sheepishly. It's almost embarrassed. I don't know why you're looking at my teeth, so he's embarrassed at it. Officer Rate took us all down to the station for further investigation. Using Grandpa's description, the police artist drew a picture of the missing teeth. They put up our wanted posters with all the others. We made copies and put them all over town. Okay, so first thing, sketch artist or the police artist is a person that draws a picture from somebody else's memory. Okay, so there's no picture of that person. They don't know exactly who it is. So sometimes they'll give them details like broad nose or beady eyes, like their eyes are together. So they give them different descriptions. Really big forehead, like the gentleman right there, because he's bald. So they'll give descriptions to help the sketch artists draw, and that way we have a kind of sketch to show people. Okay, and the next part, let's talk about wanted. The last time we talked about a wanted poster was during Black History Month for Harriet Tubman. They had wanted posters all over the place for her, so that's the last time that we talked about it in class. Most wanted posters today will kind of be like, more updated. They'll have phone numbers. blurred out the people in that poster because I'm not going to discuss that. But anyway, these are general wanted posters. I think you've probably seen them in cartoons, if not some other things that you've watched. But just so you have it in your vocabulary, these are wanted posters, and that was a sketch artist. Officer Rate rounded up the usual suspects and took them in for questioning. All of them were asked to smile. Most of them had missing teeth as well, but just one or two, not the whole set. They even brought in our unfriendly neighbor, Miss Carbuncle, because her own teeth didn't fit. But Grandpa didn't recognize her or the teeth in the police lineup.
"I've never seen her smile before," he explained
to Officer Rate. Okay, so really quick, the only thing we're going to talk about on this page is the lineup. Okay, and if you watch the Elements of Mystery lesson 1, you saw that we talked about lineup. This is an example of the Disney villains, the female Disney villains lineup. Okay, and what they'll usually have is you'll have a person that is a witness or trying to find the culprit, okay, the suspect. They can look over these people and kind of decide if any one of them matches the description they want to give. Okay, and sometimes it might be a voice or a look, but as of right now, all we're looking at is teeth. After several days, Officer Rate had to admit that no teeth had been found, no thief had been caught, and no clues had been uncovered. Grandpa suspected everyone, especially anyone who didn't smile. Soon the whole town was smiling at him, although he never smiled back. He had nothing to smile with. Mom even got a call from one of those TV shows, Unsolved Crimes. They came to the house in a helicopter. We had to reenact the whole thing. When Grandpa was interviewed, he asked the reporter, Pearl White, if he could borrow some of her teeth.
"After all," he mumbled, "you have more than enough."
All right, so really quick, we're going to discuss vocabulary. Okay, so vocabulary time. The first vocabulary is the word reenact. Okay, and it seems like we should know what that word is, but just to go over it, we had to reenact the whole thing. Okay, so the whole thing of reenacting would be you have to act out the past events. Okay, we reenacted or we reenact. Okay, next part, Pearl White. So the reporter's name is Pearl White. That's kind of a cool thing I want to point out. It's not really a vocabulary, but the cool thing about Pearl White is they're comparing teeth like pearls. Okay, and if you look at her teeth really quickly, let's see if we can do this drawing tool. If you look at her teeth really quickly, she has really, really big white teeth. Okay, so what they're saying there is that she has pearly white teeth, big pearly teeth. And back then they called them the pearly whites. So she's Pearl White. Kind of funny. Dad called Switzerland to find out how much a new set of teeth would cost. He was so shocked when he found out that he dropped the phone. The only way he could ever afford it, he joked to Mom, is to sell the house. Grandpa thought this was great.
"Who needs a house anyway?" he moaned. "It doesn't help you chew your food."
To cheer him up, we all took Grandpa to the amusement park. It was a disaster. He took one look at the front entrance and burst into tears. So really quickly, why did Grandpa burst into tears? I think our clue is the entrance, obviously. Big, huge set of teeth, what he's missing. Everyone watched Unsolved Crimes, but no one called Officer Rate, and the crime remained unsolved. Some spare teeth were left in the mailbox, but none of them fit properly. People began locking their doors at night, imagining a teeth thief loose on the streets. No one knew who would be next, so fear gripped the town. The thief had to be caught, and soon. Okay, so let's talk about really quick. Some of the teeth that they were given, it looks like some shark teeth possibly, maybe some fish teeth. The other thing up there, vampire teeth, some play teeth, the chomping teeth, some teeth that kind of look like chips. I don't know what those are. They're like little halves. They don't really fit much. And then Grandpa's trying on some rabbit teeth. Okay, so he's being delivered teeth that are just not going to work. It seemed that the only way to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the teeth in your mouth were your own was to smile broadly at every person you met. Anyone who didn't smile was immediately dragged off to the police station for more questions and a chat with Officer Rate. So everyone began smiling at everyone else, all the time, everywhere, even funerals. Okay, so right there, if we look around, everyone is smiling, even the birds, even the kids, even the fish in the background. Okay, the only ones not smiling are Grandpa and his dog. Okay, so really quick, we're going to talk about jot time. We're going to talk about the alibi. Okay, and the alibi is the excuse. Okay, so the excuse to show that you're not the suspect. So what is the excuse? For you to smile. Okay, so their alibi, we're going to go over here. Our alibi is everyone smiles to show that they didn't do it. So I'm going to say everyone smiles. Everyone smiles. Okay, and that's how they keep their alibi. Because of Grandpa's teeth, the whole town was beginning to suffer. Tourists, seeing the endless seas of smiling faces, were too scared to get out of their cars. After a while, they stopped coming altogether. Dad's cafe, like the rest of the town, was losing business. The mayor called an emergency meeting. Okay, so really quick, let's discuss some stuff. One, why were the tourists scared of the faces, the smiling faces? Okay, because it was a little creepy, a little scary, people smiling for no reason. They're just, it's kind of like robotic. Okay, so they're a little creeped out. Next one, let's make a prediction. Okay, so the mayor called an emergency meeting. So predicting, do you think we're going to find our suspect, our culprit, the person that did it? Maybe. Do you think that they're just going to maybe have everybody take a lie detector test? That'd be a good idea. Okay, so let's turn the page and figure it out. That night, for the first time that anyone could remember, the town hall was full. Speaker after speaker stood up to complain about the loss of customers and the constant strain of smiling all day, every day. Pastor Butter summed up the situation. Well, I've always considered this a happy town. There are limits. No one wants to smile without a reason. And there aren't many reasons to smile in this town at the moment. It's time, I believe, to put a stop to it. The crowd cheered. Mr. Pertwhistle had one of the finest sets of teeth in the country, and he alone cannot afford to replace them. In fact, I alone cannot afford to replace them either. But if every one of us put $1 in the collection plate tonight, we would have enough money to buy 2 new sets of teeth. Most people put in $1. Others put in 2. At the presentation ceremony, Grandpa opened the package and revealed 2 sets of brand new teeth. Why are they different sizes? Asked the mayor.
Oh, only one of them is for me, replied Grandpa,
popping one of the sets into his mouth.
The other one is for Miss Carbuncle. Her teeth never fit properly, and she has such a pretty smile.
Grandpa was very happy with his new teeth. So was Miss Carbuncle. They smiled all the time. In fact, they were so happy that Grandpa's old dog, Gump, smiled too. For the first time ever. So, jot time really quick, and I'm giving you a new vocabulary word, okay? So, who is the culprit? And before we ask that question or answer that question, the culprit means, okay, the culprit is a person who is responsible for the crime, okay? So we know about suspect, okay? The suspect is a person believed to do the crime or commit the crime. The culprit is the actual one responsible for it, okay? So let's jot down, who is our culprit? Well, I hope you can figure it out if you've been paying attention. He's smiling nice brightly on the last page. The dog, okay? So the dog is our culprit, okay? So now I'm going to kind of put right here, I'm going to add here, I'm going to say culprit, because now we caught him. The culprit is the dog. Okay, and I'll write the word Gump. The dog. So the dog named Gump. All right, so and then the other part I wanted to talk about is they kind of gave this away. They kind of gave you clues, and this, I guess this would be evidence or clues. They let you know that everybody smiled except for one, Grandpa, because he didn't have teeth, and two, the dog. Okay, because if the dog would have smiled, the Grandpa would have seen his teeth. So that kind of was one thing to give it away. All right, so really quick, if we look over, and I'm going to bring this a little bit closer to you. Okay, if you look over your list, we're missing two things. One was the evidence, and one was the red herring. We just talked about some evidence, but they didn't really get to it. They didn't solve the crime. So I would leave the evidence kind of blank. We didn't really have much evidence. Also, the red herring, okay? The red herring wasn't really there. The only thing that kind of, I guess, was the red herring was, because red herring is false information, is that he's looking for a person, okay? And it ended up not being a person. It ended up being the dog. So maybe that's that bad information that gets the detective not to figure it out, but it's not anything that we can really, that really helped us solve anything. So I would give that a question mark, and there's no evidence. And I don't think question mark, we can just put an X, okay? So X that. All right, so now you have your chart. You're going to be able to fill in your work. And I hope you enjoyed Grandpa's Teeth, another great case, and we'll see you next time. Bye.